Hello, my name's Gemma Donnelly. I work for the ESFA and I'm going to talk to you about what's changed in schools funding for 18-19. School funding up to the age of 16 is part of the Dedicated Schools Grant, the DSG. Most post-16 funding is allocated through a separate national formula, though high needs provision up to the age of 25 is also funded through the DSG. From next year, 2018-19, the DSG will have 4 blocks. These are schools, high needs, early years and local authority central services. All 4 blocks will be calculated through a formula. At the moment, the DSG blocks are mainly based on what local authorities have spent historically, and they don't reflect current levels of need, though early years have already changed to a new formula in 17-18. Local authorities set separate formula for schools and early years, which have to use factors allowed by the DfE in regulations. The schools formula covers mainstream, primary and secondary maintained schools and academies. The early years formula funds free entitlement in nursery schools, nursery classes in infant and primary schools, private day nurseries, playgroups and childminders. These budgets are then delegated to schools and early years providers for them to spend. The rest of the DSG is retained by the authority to spend centrally, though much of this, such as most budgets for high needs, is also spent in schools. There are some restrictions. Local authorities can move up to 0.5% of their schools block DSG into other blocks with schools forum approval. They must also pass through at least 95% of their early years block to providers. Apart from that, they can move funding between blocks as they wish, though they have to get agreement of their schools forum for expenditure on all central budgets other than for high needs. Most school funding is distributed on the basis of pupil numbers, with different weightings for primary, Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4. Local formula also have to include a deprivation factor, and other factors allowed can cover additional educational needs, schools and premises related factors. Early years formula have similar factors, with most funding distributed on the number of hours of take-up of the free entitlement. The DfE pays academies directly on the basis of their local authority schools formula. It funds this by reducing the local authority DSG through a process called recruitment. Academies also receive some funding directly from local authorities. For example, for early years and for high needs top-up payments, the local authorities must consult academies on changes to their formula, and academies are represented on schools forum in proportion to their pupil numbers. We want to move over time to a national formula so that schools with similar characteristics in different parts of the country will be funded at similar levels. There will always be differences in funding levels between schools because of different characteristics, such as levels of free school meals. For the next 2 years, local authorities will continue to set their own local formula, but we will give them the funding their school would have got through the national formula.